Yeah, hello students. Hope you are doing well. We were looking to this chapter, The Treasure Within, from your It So Happened. And it is an interview of Mr. Hafiz Contractor and interviewed by Ms. Bela Raja. She is contingent of a school magazine Sparsh. And it is a very beautiful interview in which, very intricate and deep and, past memories of Mr. Hafiz have been revealed in. Okay, so this is another form of chapter which we were going through. We have already finished up with the first part. In the second part, today we'll be covering the rest things of the interview about his career. The first part is only of the school life. Second part is focused on the career and how the career of architecture was chosen by Mr. Hafiz Contractor. Then Tuesday you will be having your interactive session in which I'll be summarizing this chapter again, and then we will go for the question answers in the interactive session itself. So be prepared to attend the interactive session, and let us start today with the second part of it. In the first part, we saw many highlights were there, like principal's speech, principal's interaction of 5 minutes with Mr. Contractor, and how has his life in school was. He was not very studious student and he used to cheat and all. And now we are going through the choosing of a career. Now, if we see the flow of the questions, let us begin with now. The first question is fired that how did you choose choose architecture as a career? Now, he was not good in languages, he admits. So, but he was admitted to Jai Hind College with some recommendations, so he had to choose some subject. So he chose French, but then he was not good at French, so he switched to German. And then unfortunately, the German professor could not survive, so after he was slain, he again had to choose some of the subject. He could not drop out because it was a recommended admission. So then again he chose French, and then this is how French was now his cup of tea, and then he was learning French, but he could not learn hardly 7 to 8 words whole of the year he could learn. One of the cousin, she was there of Mr. Hafiz, she knew French, and her husband was an architect, so he went to his office to learn French, where she used to teach French to Mr. Hafiz. Now there's one incident happened. Okay, so that incident has been highlighted over here. That actually it happened by chance. He's telling that he was very much inclined. Mr. Hafiz was very much inclined in drawing pictures and imagination of like when it was raining, he used to imagine that where can a dam be built. So these were all the things. So he was of that sort, cutting across how this building is made about, where the blocks, where are the classes, how the pathway is there. So while he was learning French, a subordinate of husband's, architect husband's subordinate was making some drawing of window, and Mr. Hafiz pointed out that the window will not open. So it was surprising how can a boy of class 11th can say all these things, and is he having any idea of drawing or engineering drawing or architectural drawings? He said, okay, fine, I'll draw it. So he asked, husband of cousin asked to draw his brother-in-law. So his brother-in-law asked to draw the figure, and he drew very perfectly. Then some more drawings of were asked to be drawn by Mr. Contractor, and he drew it all well. And then suddenly his brother-in-law, the husband of cousin, asked him, stop languages, you are fit for architecture, go for it. So this is how it happened. Then he again explains that he went, but because for getting into architecture, obviously some 80-85 minimum percentage of marks are required in SSC, but then he was having only 50% of marks. So he approached principal. Principal said, okay, fine, only one condition. If you don't clear, don't come again to me. If you don't clear the entrance exam of architecture, don't again come to me for any recommendation. This is the last, because already he was recommended to took admission for the languages where low percentage can do. So then he went to take examination. He got it A+%, and with the A+ grades he could easily get into the architect, and then it was a cakewalk. He explains, and he just tells that it was a cakewalk after that. So this is how he entered into architecture. Now over here, two instances are more even mentioned. His classmate was Behram Devecha. Now Behram Devecha and Mr. Hafiz Contractor both used to play with the toys which they used to make, like guns and ammunition and forts and fortresses, and then Whore of the War game they used to play. So what happened, they both were into bent of mind was towards the designing of the things. So this helped. Then he again narrates one of the story that Mrs. Gupta, a primary teacher of standard 1, while he was drawing some sketches rather than studying, obviously he was not inclined more towards studying. So Mrs. Gupta had told him that he will become an architect at the age of 6 or 7 years. When he became an architect, he went to Mrs. Gupta and told that what you had said had come true. So this incident two people have been mentioned over here. Now come to again the next question is that life, now Miss Bela, she tells that she asks Mr. Hafiz that usually people who are very good at studies end up their lives in becoming doing ordinary jobs, and those who are self learners excel much. So this point has been highlighted. Now how we come to this particular point, Mr. Hafiz never wants to discuss about his school life. Again he reverts back to some vague things. So he has told that life at a school, at a boarding school especially, is not very easy. Okay, this is one thing. And then he tells us lots many whatever the tests were there, he used to cheat and then get through it. Okay, so he is just discussing all about those things. But then ultimately they come to the conclusion that being a self-learner is more important. Okay, those who learn themselves end up end up in their life having a good and successful career. But those who are taught to learn, that you learn this, you learn that, they end up becoming a good employee and do ordinary jobs. Okay. And then secondly, being a street smart, the incident has been discussed in the part 1 of this particular interview session, that Mr. Hafiz used to go to, on Saturday evenings, they used to go to, freakouts, watch a movie. While coming back, they used to have, outing and eat something at the eateries on the street side. So roadside eateries, they used to eat, collect money, and then he was a gang leader, and then he used to fight also. So actually that part is not highlighted, or that's not a constructive positive part, but the thing is that he became street smart. He knew how to deal with the people. So these are the leadership qualities he used to learn automatically, because he was a self learner, because he was less interested in the studies. So whatever he did, he used to learn. So this is how the things have been incorporated in his answers. Now his inclination for next questions is about inclination towards how he draw the buildings and all those things. Then he told that I have got earlier also I had inclinations, like the rain is falling and flood is coming, so where the dam could be made and all those stuff. And then with the pencil they used to carve out buttons for the people who just lost their button, and because the discipline was there, and then it was demanded that all your buttons should be nicely tuck up. You should collar button all tuck up properly, shirt tuck up, and then all these things were there. So whenever any of his buddy used to lose the button, he used to carve with the blade out of a chalk. So that designing backside of mind he was having. Now Ms. Bela asks, okay, what do you do when how do you create a sketch? Because already we have seen that he had his contribution, to his credit, we have got many buildings like 23 Marina in Dubai. That was one of the highest building for some time, 2012 to 14, I think, highest residential building in the world. Now it is third, I guess. and then Hiranandani Garden, Powai, then this thing BITS Pilani, the campus at Goa, then academic complex of HCL or Infosys, I think in Bangalore he has designed. Now many buildings are there he has designed. So how he designs, so he says that whenever a client comes to me, the way he walks, the way his psychology is, the way his taste of things is there, what is his aesthetics. So all these things I combined and then make instant sketch. So it comes out of intuition, and this Ms. Bill also points it is intuitive. He said that you can call it intuitive, but then I amalgamate everything. And then at last he tells that when I amalgamate, that is my own mathematics. So this here he tells that I was very poor in mathematics, but then my interpretation of mathematics is amalgamating all the streams together to design a building, and then he instantly designs and gives the design to his team. I mean, he is having a 300-member team. So this is how he designs. So he calls his own interpretation of mathematics. Now this is what the flow of. Now your job is to read all the questions and the answers. One thing I would like to add over here, I think I have told his birth is on 19th of April 1950, but it is actually 19th of June. Okay. So this you just may update it. You just go each and every question and see how we proceed the question, why it has been divided into 2 parts, and how the questions are answered. Are they precise, or Mr. Hafiz is trying to evade the things? So this you will have to just go through. When we are having an interactive session, I'll again summarize this chapter with the help of PPT, and then we will discuss the question answers and the comprehension part. So this ends your chapter. Thank you.